Well, this is neato. Remember when this group decided that they were going to go down to the U.S., representing Alberta with zero fucking authority? The one in blue is Black Hat Guy. I know the other one's wearing a black hat, but this one will always be Black Hat Guy. And so they went down to the U.S., got in close proximity to the blob adjacent, we'll say. Well, at one of their sedition rallies in Red Deer, they talked about an independence loan that was discussed when they went and spoke with the blob adjacent people. $500 million to be exact. The blob would loan us hundreds of millions of dollars to become independent from Canada. Modry said that he talked to senior U.S. administrative officials. That one's Modry. Apparently, the blob adjacent officials said that they recognize and support Alberta becoming the sovereign nation for the first time. That was all when they went down there in April. In and around when Danny was going down, repeatedly. But again, this group had no authority to speak on the part of Alberta. Now, if this group of people had the ability to get in close proximity to the blob himself, with the blob adjacents, and an actual figure was thrown out there on what the blob would be giving to them to help us separate into our own country, I have some questions. You went down and talked to blob adjacent people whose message was, we absolutely support Alberta becoming its own country. We will help you become your own country. We'll give you a fuck ton of money, which really $500 million isn't a lot considering we spent $80 million on Tylenol. That's just sitting in a warehouse somewhere. But we will give you $500 million from which you can draw as you need it. We will welcome you to use our money, but you will be your own country. Now, for all the reasons that this group says that Alberta should be its own country, oil, resources, you think the blob and the blob adjacent people are just going to give you a fuck ton of money with no strings attached to become our own country with no military? You don't think they would just turn around and take us? The blob is famous for his deals that only benefit one side. They would abso-fucking-lutely take us. Because becoming the 51st state isn't on the table right now, but it could be. And Modry went on to say to the Red Deer group of separatists that if a referendum was passed, they could potentially count on Blob and the U.S. Secretary of State to back the outcome. Why do they have their mitts in anything that has to do with us right now? Apparently, at this meeting of the minds, the people in attendance had questions about immigration. What would the country of Alberta do about immigration? Peter Downing, who was speaking on behalf of the America Fund, I had to look it up. This is their website. This is their website. It looks like a circa 2004 MySpace page. But anyhow, the America Fund people talk about ICE. That's right. Because America has a lot of bad dudes, tough dudes with guns, and ICE is willing to deal with it. Now, I find it hard to believe anything that these people have to say because they're really good at talking. They love pumping their own tires. But as we've seen, they're not great when it comes to the fine details of things, like filing your question first. So I take all of that with a grain of salt, that the blob was just going to give them $500 million. A loan. Until the blob comes to collect the loan, which means we wouldn't be our own country. Even if we could be, because the U.S. would take us over, because we'd have no military or way to defend ourselves, except for the bad dudes that we have with guns. And they're generally the ones that want to be a 51st state. Do you see? Do you see how it just doesn't make sense? But if the blob was promising $500 million, what did they get when they went? What help did they get when they went down there? With no authority to speak on behalf of Alberta. And how the fuck did these four randos just get in close proximity to the blob? I think they're all bananas. But that isn't to take away that there are some people in Alberta, equally bananas, that think all of this is a fantastic idea. Because they don't understand how things work. They think if we become a 51st state, the roads will be paved in gold. Somehow the blob is going to save them. Everyone will be prosperous. Drill, baby, drill. No! They would come in, strip us of all our resources, and leave us. Because they can't. The fuck would we do? I've said it once, I've said it a million times. They're peddling magic beans. They are old white dudes who have money, more than you do, trying to sell you magic beans. Out of the kindness of their hearts? I doubt it. It's got to be something else going on. But that's the good thing about these guys, is they love to boast. So they're going to let things slip. And all the people rah-rah-rahing, open your fucking ears and listen. Because as with any merger or acquisition, there's always one group that walks away happy and one group that walks away with nothing. $500 million. Alone from the blob.